Uh-oh, can't hear you.
Welcome to the
There you
What's
are.
Your Bro podcast. Yeah, I had to turn the mic on apparently.
What's up,
Uh,
bro?
yeah, man. I am Nary Signs with me. That is the voice you just heard in the falsetto
Yeah.
Is Mike Valdez.
What's up, bro?
Happy belated St. Patrick's Day, man.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Is St. Patrick's Day is such a weird holiday because
Okay.
I feel like it's one of those holidays where, like, if you're not Irish, it really is you're just mocking it's really is cultural appropriations to the
Yeah.
max.
Yeah, it's got to be how the Australians feel about Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, but like it's a whole day where the entire all the first world countries just come together to like this
Yeah.
Chicago makes their river green, like it
Yeah.
turns their like it's so crazy.
Everybody turns alcohol green.
They wear the four-leaf clover glasses. They wear these
Yeah,
hats, and it's just, I feel like it's too much. But
it is.
I'm not Irish, so I don't feel like I could say that. Like I'm like, am I allowed to say that? I feel like this is disrespectful to. It gets to the point. I feel that way about Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
I
sure.
feel like it's super racist when white people dress in ponchos and sombreros, and it's
Agreed.
like we're
And
gonna
we're not
just.
even Mexican.
And I'm
Like,
not Mexican, yeah.
yeah,
So
both
I
of us
yeah.
aren't. Yeah, I
So
agree. Yeah, it's funny. I can't speak for other countries, but I could certainly speak for America because I'm American and so are you. And I would say that I think Americans are just looking for an excuse to drink more. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it makes it even worse to me. Is like, if you need an excuse to drink, just create a different excuse to like May 6th, and you drink on May, like. But the
Yeah,
fact that Cinco de Mayo to a people, first of all, I don't know if you know this, but Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day,
it's
right?
not. No,
It's and it's not.
no.
So a lot of people think
Christmas
that.
isn't Jesus's birthday either.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, and then they get like in this in their head that it's Mexican Independence Day, and then you tell them it's not, and then it's like the reason why Cinco de Mayo was a holiday, but it was a holiday within a one small Mexican town, and
Hmm.
then Corona, the beer company, was like, let's like they just their marketing just blew up,
Yeah,
and then it's become this whole thing, and I just feel like it's become racist, but they did it
sure.
to themselves, I guess, because Corona, I believe, is still a Mexican beer. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Beer, yes, it is. It actually is a Mexican beer. I'm sure it's probably acquired by an American company by now,
Sure.
but just because that's how things are,
Yeah. Oh,
American
they're
brands.
making money. Well, okay. Well, I'll buy that. I'll buy that for $1. Like, all right, take it easy,
but
RoboCop guy.
it's true though because in all reality, like that's the only way Corona becomes the beer of the Fast and the Furious franchise. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So
Yeah.
like it makes the most sense. Like, yeah, I don't know, bro. It's funny because uh I'm not a drinker. Neither are you, right? You
I'm
don't
not a
drink?
drinker at all.
Yeah, I don't really drink. Uh-oh. I lost him. Well, guys, it's just me. I'm not really sure where to go from here. I'm not really a drinker. But
Sorry.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's okay. I completely vamped. It was okay. Um, yeah, I'm not much of a drinker. But being an actor in this business, you tend to learn a lot about alcohol branding because you read for a lot of beer commercials. And so it's just like I just did a course thing recently, and their whole thing is like their marketing is how cold their beer is, and it's like I forget who it was. I think it was like,
Isn't that Coors?
yeah, Coors has this, and
That train that comes with the snow. It comes in with the
yeah,
snow. Yeah, yeah.
and Kyle Cease has this bit about it where he's like, Coors's thing is like, our beer is super cold, and he's like, isn't that up to the people that are putting it in the fridge?
Yeah, that's
Like,
funny. Yeah.
like like it's not up to you whether your beer is cold or not. Like it's up to the person that bought it. But yeah, everybody has their weird branding. I did not know that Corona created the whole Cinco de Mayo thing, and that's why it is what it is.
I believe that's somebody's gonna fact check me, I'm sure, but if I had my computer with me, I would be able to do it. But I'm recording from my phone, so
To be honest,
huh?
nothing would sound more American than like a company inventing a holiday and then America.
Again, they didn't invent it. It was a holiday. Cinco de Mayo was a holiday, but it was a holiday for a specific small Mexican town. It,
Mm,
it wasn't like it wasn't even a national. It wasn't even it wasn't even a Mexican national holiday,
yeah,
or a national Mexican holiday, I should say. It wasn't even that. So it was like a celebration that this town did. It's like whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
like a
it's
small
like,
town in Mexico.
yeah, and then they were like, "Well, let's, market this to white people," and white people
Sure.
just ate that up, dude. It was no joke for
They
them. I was
love
like, all
that
right,
and alliteration. That's why they did Taco Tuesday. Like
yes,
they love alliteration. And like, funny enough, I didn't know this until a few years ago. I did a Christmas uh kind of shoot production kind of thing, and there was a dude that played Santa, and he was great. And like his whole job, like he plays Santa all the time. Like that's like his thing, and he like does it for commercials and for movies and like everything. If you ever need a Santa, like that's the guy. Apparently there's like an alliance, I'm not even joking, of these Santa actors. And it turns out the way that we as Americans see Santa Claus was depicted first by Coca-Cola.
yes, yes,
I did not know that.
yeah, yeah. That them and the bears, the
Yeah,
polar
it
bears, the
I thought it was the
drinking.
polar bears. Like I didn't think it was Santa Claus. Like
Yeah,
I was
Santa
like,
Claus is the way we think of Santa Claus now. Yeah, is Coca Cola.
that's like Coca-Cola is basically the Catholic Church with Jesus. Like, where like Americans are like, he's blonde haired, blue eyes, has a six pack. I know Jesus. Like,
I wonder how far back when the first marketing department, like person who is set aside for the marketing of the Catholic Church, because
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
yes,
like I wonder how far back that goes, where there's a one person, or at least a person, but multiple people probably, of like a department where like, okay, we got to get the word out, and then what? So
yeah,
what do we do? What's the story here? Aren't trees pagan? Nah, nah, nah. We take that now. We
yeah,
take that. We're gonna use that, and we're gonna like now we're gonna use the pagan trees. So now we're gonna yes, yes, got it, perfect. Like I just want to know like the origins of not the Catholic Church, but the origins of the marketing department for the Catholic Church. I want to know what
yeah.
that's like.
Bro, the most like snooty, like hoity-toity joke I've ever written in my life, by the way. It's like a New Yorker type of like people that smell their own farts only think this is funny type of joke.
Mm,
And it's the joke is just if it's, Jesus in a manger and Santa is praying to Jesus, and then on the bottom it just says capitalism. Like like it's just like that's literally what this is. Like it's just
yes,
like we
nice.
invented Santa Claus, we invented Jesus, and we're going to invent Santa praying to Jesus. Like
Yeah,
like
and
it's
apparently the reason another one of the big reasons that Christmas became a massive holiday was because of the play A Christmas Carol.
yes. Yeah,
So
I knew that.
Christmas existed, but it wasn't really like it wasn't in the land of respected holidays. Christmas wasn't. The people didn't even get time off for that. They're like,
Yeah,
it's like might as well be Flag Day.
right.
And then A Christmas Carol came out. The guy wrote A Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
and they were like,
Charles
Christmas.
Dickens.
Yeah, Charles
The
Dickens
guy.
is like
Charles
the
Dickens.
guy, the dude. He's the
Yeah.
dude, the bro, the
Yeah.
broski. Uh,
Yeah.
the broski wrote Christmas
Christmas
Carol,
Carol.
and then
Yeah.
the people were just like, yeah, Christmas is a big deal. The Christmas spirit moves me, and it's like, what?
Right.
It's bonkers, man. So
It's
shout
true.
out,
It's true.
yeah,
But for some strange reason, man, I mean, look, it's the placebo effect works because like at the end of the day, it's the reason why, and I don't know how you are, but I Christmas time is my favorite time of year
sure,
because like everybody just has this extra pep in their step. Everybody's more joyous because they feel like if they're nicer, then they'll get presents. I don't know. Like it's weird. Like even dude, I'm 35 and it's still I still get like adrenaline from like the night before Christmas where like I can't sleep because I'm excited about opening presents in the morning. Like I'm
I
35 years old,
I
you
think
know?
it is weird because like they have phrases, right? You corner like, oh, 'tis the season to be giving,
Right.
and so you do feel like you're more giving and caring and generous in that season. But it's all in our head because if
A hundred
we
percent.
like it's weird. Like if they would have made like, I don't know, Arbor Day, 'tis the season, and you make it all magical,
Hmm.
then in April we would all be like, well, 'tis the season, it's to be nice right now, and it's
Bro, it's insane too. And it brought me back. This actually brings me back one of my like probably like one of my last like day jobs before I like had to before I like could call myself like a full-time entertainer was I was a barista at Starbucks. And
that checks
you
out,
know,
man. That checks out.
so and
Like
and
I just see you and I go, yeah, barista, yeah, that's about right, yeah,
yeah, like and so do like their whole thing was like Starbucks does not want to be offensive because at the end of the day, Starbucks is the McDonald's of coffee, and
sure,
so we do not say Merry Christmas. We say Happy Holidays. Look, I'm a
sure,
believer of Jesus. I believe in Christmas. I go to Christmas services. I do all that stuff, but I have a job to do. And so like the people that would come in and they'd be like Merry Christmas and I'd go Happy Holidays. They just go
yeah,
no Merry Christmas. I would be
oh,
like, come on, man. Like, what are we
yeah.
doing here? Like,
Also,
like,
why do people have such a problem with happy holidays? It's like, I don't understand why again, I have my Christian faith and I believe in
mhm.
Christmas and I celebrate Christmas, and I've never been like, cr- you don't you ever say happy
Yeah.
holidays to me, like, Jesus, like, take it
No.
easy, man.
Well, the thing that really like made me kind of go bonkers bananas is like how like a lot of Christians don't like Merry Xmas, which is really funny because they're like, "Oh, they're crossing out the Christ in Christmas." And it's like, "No, stupid. X in Hebrew means Christ. It's
Yeah,
actually shorter to say Xmas."
yeah.
Like like X in Hebrew is the beginning and the end. That is Christ. That is what Christ means. Like
No, I don't need that Hebrew bullshit over here. This is America.
yeah, this is America's
This is
Jesus.
so
Like
stupid. This is blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus. Like, all right, take it easy. Like, I always wonder how people feel about those. Like, I wonder how Irish people. I don't know if I have an Irish friend. Trying to think if I have Irish friends. I'm sure I do, but I want to know how they feel about Ed Sheeran walked into a pub on
yeah,
St. Patrick's Day. So, and I mean, he performed and stuff. Like, he just popped in
yeah.
and just performed, which
I
he's done
think that's
before.
cool though.
Oh, it's super cool. Like, I love Ed Sheeran. I
Yeah.
love his
Yeah,
music.
me
I did.
too.
Did you see the documentary on Ed Sheeran?
Yes. So
Go.
we talked about this a bit before the show, but I told you like I'm gonna be such a hipster about Ed Sheeran because like I watched this VH1's like back man, I sound like such an old fart right now. Back in the day, kids, you could watch VH1 or MTV and they actually played music on these channels.
Crazy,
And they
crazy.
used to have music videos for a lot of these things. Now, music videos were mini movies that had, because they didn't even make music videos anymore. It's like a lyric video, except people were acting. It was crazy. And so,
There was a lot of
they
waterfalls, a lot of
a lot of
waterfalls,
waterfalls.
a lot of rainy days staring out the window in
Yeah,
the rain. It's a lot of that shit.
yeah. That's so funny. It was, you know what it was? It was a lot of pop punk bands wearing black, like playing guitar on top of a rooftop while it's raining. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Was- Or white t-shirts and baggy blue jeans.
Yes, dude. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
This is taking me back. I can talk about this forever. But that's because this is my era of music. Like I love it. But Ed Sheeran was this like VH1 had this like you ought to know show, which was like basically like these are the up and comers, kind of thing. And their albums haven't really come out, but I guess maybe their label is trying to push them or something. I found out about Jessie J like that. Um, which Jessie J, if you don't know her, she's British. Katy Perry if Katy Perry was incredible. And then
You don't like
uh,
Katy Perry? I love Katy Perry, man.
no, I think Katy Perry is great. I just think Jessie J is incredible. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
sure.
Like she's I think Katy Perry just has more hits, but when it comes to singing, Jessie J is just outrageous. Like she's
Yeah,
like
I never thought of Katy Perry as like a top notch singer, which is ironic
exactly.
to say because she's judging American Idol.
I mean,
But
she's
but
an amazing female
performer,
vocalist.
she's a
Yeah.
performer.
And
Yeah.
she's an amazing performer, but like I wouldn't say that like she's not one of my top 10 vocalists of all time, you know. Um and but yeah, she's awesome. But anyway, Ed Sheeran was on there and it was for the song the A Team, and man, that song got me good the first time I heard it. And like I mean, of course, like everybody remembers, the first time they heard John Mayer in fifth grade and they cried to Your Body is a Wonderland. And like, it was basically that,
So
like,
weird. So weird imagery because I'm so much older than you. So it's a weird imagery that you were in fifth grade listening to My Body's a Wonderland. It's just like, what? That's
that
weird.
song, what's so funny is that song was written about Jennifer Love Hewitt. And then you think
Yeah.
about it and you're like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because her body does look like a
Is
wonderland.
my God. Like it's insane.
You know, I
But
have yet. Jennifer Love Hewitt is like my friends. Like were in love with we're the
sure,
same age. Jennifer Love Hewitt and I are the same age. So my group of friends, they were like infatuated with her, and I never
sure.
got it. Like, I think aside from, I don't even remember seeing. I know what you did last summer. I don't remember seeing it from start to finish. I know I've
Mhm,
seen lots of bits and pieces of it, but I don't recall seeing the whole thing from start to
mhm.
finish. And I've seen Heartbreakers, which I really enjoy. Heartbreakers. Speaking
Yeah,
of
it's a great movie.
with Gene Hackman, but I don't remember watching. I don't have. I didn't see Idle Hands. Was that the other
Mhm,
one? Is that the one that
yeah.
she was? Which is the one that she was at a party?
I Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't hardly wait. I can't.
The
Yeah, that one I didn't see with Seth Green.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see that movie. And but she had a huge career. Party of Five. I've never seen a minute of a Party of Five.
yeah.
But she had a huge career, and all my friends absolutely like were infatuated with her. And I'm like, yeah, I guess she's hot, I guess, but I never.
She kind of like was she kind of created the 90s girl next door vibe, where it was just like, wow, like, she's like the hottest girl in your town, like type of person, and she's she did a podcast recent or not recently, but a couple of years ago, and she was being interviewed, and I never took it into consideration, but then she started talking about it, and I was like, wow, it must really suck, because like she's like basically everywhere I go, just men are constantly coming up to me and telling me like you're my hall pass,
Oh,
and
right, right,
like
right.
and she's gotten to a point, and bro, I respect her for saying this, where she just tells them, well, you're not mine. So
Sure, that makes
and it's
sense.
yeah,
But
like
it's weird. I know there's some celebrities that there are some celebrities that get that a lot. There are some celebrities that
mhm,
especially women, right? There's got to be
more women than dudes for sure.
well, of course, but yeah, but like not just good looking women, but from the nostalgia. So like
Yeah,
when they got famous when they were children, basically, and
yeah,
it's like, so they've been hearing it for a long, long time.
of
You
course,
know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
have, which brings me to our first. Um, one's got to go. Hold on, give me a second
Oh,
here.
really? We're doing this already? I'm so excited.
Wait. But it's only one. It's only one of them. I
Oh,
just
it's only one.
forget. I forget which one it is. Hold on.
Okay.
No, there it is. That's the one. All right. So one's got to go.
This sucks.
Topanga Lawrence, Kelly Kapowski, Jackie Burkhart, and Kelly Bundy. So one of those has to go.
You're don't please don't assassinate me,
The 70
chat.
show. The 70 show.
Okay, so
Jackie Bernhardt.
you already
I
knew what I
already
was
knew.
gonna ask.
I already knew. I was like, he doesn't know. The 70 show is what's her name?
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis. Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say Meg.
Yeah, from
So
Family Guy.
yeah, from Family Guy. So yeah, so it's Topanga Lawrence, Kelly Kapowski, Mia Kunis from the '70s Show, or Kelly Bundy.
Well,
So
given that for me, given that it is not the actor and it is the character, um, I I can't say no to I can't say no to Topanga. Like that's just like
sure. So
that's
which one? But yeah,
to me that's top tier, like perfect girl in a sitcom character.
sure,
Um, you know, granted the show became a bit more, or her character, not the show, her character became a bit more a caricature of itself than it was in the very beginning, because in the very beginning she was super crunchy and very like naturalistic and very spiritual, and
yeah,
that's
like
more
a tree hugger.
like a tree hugger type of person. And then by the fifth season she's just a girl, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and like, and it was more Danielle Fishel, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, because at the
Some
end of
would
the,
say that's even better.
yeah, some would say
So-
that's better, exactly, I wouldn't disagree, but like, but to be completely fair, like, that's the kind of girl that I grew up like having crushes on, were very like
sure.
those type of like spiritual, very like hip, hip hippie type people. um and I mean, granted, they took the I like girls that take showers and things like that, but you
No,
know what I mean.
you're one of
But
those.
yeah, I'm one of those weirdos. But anyway, Topanga, it has to stay. And Kelly Kapowski is just, she
That
has
Kelly
she has
Kapowski
to
is
stay.
such like Kelly Kapowski was my first crush. I want to say it was a toss up between her and Alyssa Milano and Who's the Boss.
Sure. Yeah.
So those two, I don't. It's like 1A, 1B in the sense, just chronologically. As far as my first TV crushes, those two were the first one. And I don't remember who was first, but it was like almost simultaneously. It was like both of those were simultaneous to me. And Kelly Kapowski was on my TV more often because
Same.
they reran Saved by the
Saved by the
Bell
Bell.
more often. But
Oh yeah, on
man, I love
CBS.
I'm not lying to you. I started rewatching from the very beginning, from pilot, Who's the Boss, like 3 days ago.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. My wife walked in and she's like, "Why are you watching this?" Like, "Oh, I have no idea. I was like, man, I haven't seen Who's the Boss in a long time." And I just started watching Who's the Boss. I'm like,
Does
yeah.
it still hold up?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is very antiquated. Some of it is like, wait a
Sure.
minute, I can't hire you for a housekeeper. You're a man. Like
Sure.
that's the very first episode
Yeah.
where it goes to show you how far we've come, because that was a thing in that time. That was a thing where it's like, well, it's gonna look weird you living in my house, and people are gonna think the wrong things and whatever. And nowadays, nobody would bat an eyelash about having a male housekeeper. Like it
Same
wouldn't.
with
Yeah.
Three's Company as well. Like
Yeah.
somebody wouldn't have to pretend that they're gay to live with two women, so
Right. Yeah, yeah.
like,
It would be it would be a lawsuit if they said you can't live here because you're a man. It's like, what?
yeah,
Word, cool. All right, lawsuit coming.
yeah,
Uh so the premise, you got to get past that premise. So it's very antiquated in that sense, and then you know, you have the tropes, what became the tropes. You have
mhm.
he has a daughter, and she's very, likes boy stuff and likes sports and stuff, and then she has a son, and he's very princey, and he's very, and it's just like, okay, he's like very prissy, and it's like, yeah, yeah, it's like so tropey, but those were the tropes. That's where the tropes came from.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I funny enough, like I'm very much, I would call myself a sitcom person, and like I know Who's the Boss. I've seen maybe one or two episodes. I'm assuming Alyssa Milano was a kid, so like around your age when
She
the show
was,
was going on.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe older.
I can't Google it, but I think she's maybe like 2 years older than me in real life,
Sh-
maybe.
mhm.
You couldn't tell because she looks way better than me. Now, or I don't. I like the fact that I specified now, as if she hasn't always looked way better than me. So like, she looks better than me now. Like, yeah, she's looked better than you forever, like your entire life. Like this is the best
Yeah.
I've ever looked in my personal life, and she's always still looked better than me. Like yeah, she's a couple years older than me, but yeah, so it was very much that. Yeah, yeah, I was a child.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, going back to the character of it all, um I can't judge Alyssa Milano's character because I don't really remember it. So because of that,
Oh, but
I
she wasn't on the list though. I just brought her up because I brought up Kelly Kapowski being my first crush, and then I
oh,
was like,
she
well,
wasn't
it's
on the
yeah,
list.
she
You're
was not on the
right.
list. Yeah, yeah.
It was Kelly Bundy, right?
Kelly Bundy, yeah. It was Kelly
Yeah, okay.
Kapowski, Kelly Bundy,
Topanga Lawrence
Topanga
and
Lawrence,
Jackie
and
from
Jackie.
that '70s show.
Yeah,
The one, look, I love Mila Kunis. I just it's actually an immediate Jackie for me. And I think
yeah.
because like I watch that '70s show and like, dude, by the way, why did America give Ashton Kutcher so much shit? He's hilarious.
He is hilarious. Why? What do you mean they gave him so much? They gave him shit on his personal life. They had. I don't think they were giving him
Oh,
shit
okay.
about. Yeah, they didn't. They gave him shit on who he decided to vouch for,
Sure.
and write letters to say this guy's a good person. It's like, well,
Right.
he did some things to some children. You may
So
want to.
it's more who he is as a human being as opposed to his
It's not
work.
even who he is as a human being. It's who he's vouched for as a human being.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not like he's been in trouble with the law or like with SA young minors. It's
Mhm.
just that he vouches for, like, literally wrote letters to judges to vouch
Right.
for people who were found guilty of assaulting children. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so it's not even, I don't even want to say it's him as a character, as a person. It's him. It's just his who he aligns himself with. Is like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, you should pick. But I feel I don't know, man. Um, Candace Cameron said
Mhm.
when Aunt Becky, which by the way, another one of my childhood
Sure.
crushes, it was
You
Aunt
kidding?
Becky.
Yeah. Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
she when Aunt Becky got in trouble with the whole thing with the college and universities and whatever, it was at an award show, Cameron Candace, and she said, we can't pick our we I like my friend, somebody who I love did something wrong.
Mhm.
I can't just not love them anymore. Like, it doesn't
Of
work that way.
course.
Like, is that, but what they did was wrong, but I still am their friend. Like, it was which is very different than what Ashton Kutcher did. Where Ashton Kutcher's like, trust me, I know this man. He would never do that. It's like, but
Okay,
he
that's a little bit different. Yeah.
but he did, and he admitted to it.
Right.
So what? Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think and those letters were more to try to weren't they
to get less
written
of a sentencing.
to
Yeah,
get
they
less
were.
of a sentence, so he would have
Yeah,
to say something like that, as
yeah.
opposed to, because it wasn't like a, "What are your thoughts on this?"
Yeah, no,
As I'm sure
it
happened with
wasn't like a
Candace Cameron,
TMZ.
yeah.
It wasn't like a TMZ. Like, hey, Ashton, what are you? And they put a microphone in his face. Like, they wrote a letter. Him and his wife, both Mia, they wrote a
Yeah.
letter together and signed it together. Like, like, you write a letter, dude. Like, that's a different step.
Yeah.
That's not on your note app. That's just
Yeah.
you're writing a letter. It takes effort and time, and
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a whole thing, man.
No, you're right. I mean, but again, just going by the character of Jackie in that '70s show, like I'm more on the Kelso side of it, where it's just like, you know, damn, Jackie, like, like,
Yeah.
because she's always freaking naggy and like just
But also he's a slacker.
he is,
But also
like
he's a slacker.
he
So
is. I
look,
mean,
personality wise, I like Jackie a lot. Personality wise, like, as far as the
sure.
character goes, I like a strong woman. I like a woman who can make fun of me, and I like a woman who doesn't take my shit and like makes me better. Like, I like that.
I actually
Um,
feel that way about Donna, which is why I like Donna a lot.
yeah, I like Donna a lot too, and she's
Donna's
tall,
probably
so yeah.
my crush from that '70s show.
But I will say, of the four that we mentioned, as far as gotta go, and this is gonna be total like nostalgia.
Oh yeah,
I'm
this is
answering as a
100% a
I'm
nostalgia
I'm
pick.
answering as a 13-year-old boy. It's like, I'm not
Mhm.
getting rid of Kelly Kapowski. One, I'm not getting rid of Topanga because I wanted to marry Topanga and Kelly Kapowski,
Yeah, who
and
didn't?
I'm not getting rid of Kelly Bundy because she put out.
Yeah,
As a 13-year-old boy, I was like, I'm not getting rid of any of these
of
three, and
course.
so whoever is number four is gonna have to be the one to go. So that
Mhm.
would be my pick as well. That would
Sure.
be my pick as well. So
Okay.
I wanted to talk to you about. Did you? I don't know how much you're into sports. I have no idea if you're into sports at all.
Not necessarily.
You
I
seem like a theater
know.
kid.
I mean, I know. You know what's funny? You know what's funny is that
Not that theater kids can't also like sports. I'm
of
just
course,
saying. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
just saying. Yeah.
There are many theatrics in sports, and so I call the out. I call all of the uniforms costumes.
Yes, of course, of
They do
course.
costume changes. They go to rehearsal for and yeah. So no, I was just describing this to a couple of people, funny enough, at a theater, and and I was saying, when it comes to me as a human being, I'm very much a Wikipedia person, and that might be like my autism or something, and like, and look, I don't know if I have autism, but I kind of feel like everybody has it. So I
Well, I mean, they call it a spectrum.
yeah, I tell people all
So
the time. I say, look, your life would be a lot easier if you treated everybody like they had autism,
sure,
and so like that's just what it is. Your life is a lot easier if you treat everybody like they have autism. And so my autism is that I need to know a little bit about everything, because I don't want to be in the dark about anything in a conversation.
sure.
And so like I know a lot of, like, I know more about sports than you would think that I know, just by looking at me.
Well,
Also,
I never went by your looks. I went by you. You and I have had endless
oh
amount of
yeah,
conversations,
we talk hundreds of conversations,
and
don't
we've
even have to
never
talk
brought up
about
sports. So
sports.
that's
Yeah.
why my
Yeah.
my like my oh I don't think he I don't know if I first of all it was a question. Do you like are you a sports guy? And then my like you seem like a theater kid. It was based upon the conversations we've had,
Of 100%.
not because of the physical looks. I was just like, no,
No.
we've never talked about sports. But
No, 100%.
I bring up this conversation. I bring up that question because last night at the time of this recording, we're
Yeah.
live right now. By the way, if you're listening to the audio podcast, audio version, which most of you are, do me a favor, listen, go to our YouTube, go to our YouTube page, either WuBro Pod YouTube or Mike YouTube, Nary Science Comedy YouTube. The episode is there. Go on our Facebook. If you are on YouTube, do me a favor, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It would really help me out. I'm getting really close to getting to that magical number where I can start monetizing. So
Hell
do me
yeah,
a
dude.
favor. Let's get that going. But yesterday, from the time of this recording, from the time of this
Mhm.
airing, Tracy Morgan,
Mhm.
30 Rock alum, was at the Knicks Miami Heat game in
Mhm.
Madison Square Garden, and the game paused for 10 minutes. And I don't know if you know this. Did you know the story? Have you heard this story yet, Mike?
I knew a little bit about what happened. I did not know that they were at a pause when this happened.
No,
I
no,
thought this was
he
during the game.
caused the pause
Oh, he caused it. Okay.
because he was throwing up violently
Yeah,
on the
I knew about that.
sidelines.
I know about that.
It was
Yeah.
so when it's like when somebody spills a drink or something, they just clean it up, and that may take like a minute or something just for one of the crew members to come out. But it was a 10-minute stoppage because it was
Wow.
it was a situation, and then he's since I was gonna put the picture up, but I was like, no, that's a really gross picture. I'm not putting that
Oh, it
picture up.
is. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's just say they called him Jimmy Buckets that night. Ayo.
yeah.
Anyway,
Ew.
I know sports. I know sports.
You remind me of Leonard Hofstetter when he's like,
Yeah.
"Yay, sports!" He raises his
Yeah.
shirt. It says, "Yay, sports."
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out about it, and funny.
My immediate joke when I saw that picture, because I saw like 20 minutes after it happened, they first posted it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, doom scrolling, and it comes up in my feed, and I'm like, did he watch his stand up act?
Oh no. No.
He's fine. I'm making that joke because he's fine. We know he's fine now.
He
We know
will
he's
get
fine.
everybody pregnant.
He's gonna get
Um
everybody. I'm gonna throw up on everybody. I'm gonna vomit on everybody. That's what we do. We vomit up in this piece.
yeah. um yeah, he's funny enough, aren't he and Ed Sheeran doing something together? Maybe
I
I'm wrong.
I
Or
don't know. That would be
I was
hilarious.
I heard about something like that. It's kind of like that other thing that's been going on where apparently there's some secret movie that Trey Parker and Matt Stone and Kendrick Lamar are making or have made, and it comes out next summer.
That's very interesting. I have not heard a single thing about that. That is weird.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
not heard a single thing about that.
Yeah, that came out on Deadline a couple weeks ago. That was I mean the movie's already made and so it's just now it's probably in the process of like them doing like post production and trying to do like, advertising for it. But like what in the world is this movie about? Like it's the South Park guys and Kendrick Lamar. Like what is going to happen?
Good for
Um
them.
yeah, good for them. Yeah, for all three of them, yeah. And so yes, I did see it. It is, part of me, and granted, when I found out about it, I kind of knew what had already happened. So like I already knew it was because of food poisoning. It was because of, whatever it was. He went to the hospital, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like I found out about it through Twitter and then was immediately like, I got to get my joke out so I can so I can go viral.
Oh, I
You know?
never I wouldn't I try not to post anything negative or can be seen as negative. And I've worked with Tracy Morgan a bunch of times,
Oh no,
years upon years
and
ago. But
by the way,
I
I
would
didn't mean it to call you out.
no
I
no no
was
no.
more calling out the internet than it.
I'm saying I would not have. I never posted that joke because I just thought of it. I'm like, oh, it's out of it. But
Sure.
when I'm like, but he's fine, and I was like, yeah, but people, whatever. So it's whatever.
Yeah, those are
But
inside thoughts and also they're thoughts that like as comedians we could talk about because that's
yeah,
like
I've
where
worked with
we
him, and I feel like friendly with him. I'm not gonna say he's my friend, but I feel friendly with him,
of
and
course,
it's so
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Like you
yeah.
guys would vouch for each other, if it, push came to shove.
Ah, so I vouch that I know him.
Yeah.
That's
Like
where.
you would write a letter if you
No,
had to.
I would
Like
no
you and your
no.
wife would write a letter if you had to.
Oof, I don't. I mean, it depends on how many Walmart gift cards I could get out of him.
That's
Really.
funny. I'm sure he'd say the same. But
I
yeah,
love Walmart.
yeah.
Walmart pay
His
my
last special
bills.
his last special was like sponsored by Walmart.
It's
Like
hilarious. You know,
um
Target missed a huge opportunity. If I was Target, I would have gotten him as a spokesperson and be like, I
bro,
don't
and
shop anywhere else. I don't
not
shop anywhere
only
else. I only shop at Target because Target knows how to drive.
yeah, yeah. Target ain't missing a target, they hit me. Like it's just like the most like coincidental thing that like you get hit by. It's like getting in a car crash with an ambulance. Like it's like the most like coincidental like wow, that really worked out. Um but yeah, I found out about it and long story short, like there's just so many like clips and TikToks of people being like, "What is wrong with Tracy Morgan?" and all this stuff because people are just trying to say things before they know anything, and everybody's stupid, you know. Like
Yeah.
they're just nobody knows anything, and they're claiming that they know everything, and like it's just and part of me. This is not granted, this is definitely not as bleak as when this happened, but it reminded me a lot of, and things like this remind me of when Paul Walker died
Sure.
because people could not have tweeted fast enough
Yeah.
to make their
They were
stupid
they
joke
were
about how he
tweeting
died in a car crash.
they were tweeting fast
Yeah,
and furiously.
and furiously. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but
This
that's the
reminds me of how I really am. Sorry. That's
yeah.
all I thought about when you said this reminds me of. I was like, how I really am. This reminds me.
Yeah. This
Uh,
is how you remind me. Yeah, yeah, it's I don't know, but it just it reminded me a lot of that where it's just like, oh, the internet doesn't care about anybody. Like they just care about
I just I mean I think it's the only reason I made the only reason I even thought of the joke is because I knew he was like he wasn't in he didn't leave on a stretcher. He wasn't unconscious. It wasn't. It was fine.
sure.
It was he, like, it was fine.
They there's clips of him on, I can't remember if it was a wheelchair or a
It was
stretcher.
a no, it was a wheelchair. It was a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's, I
He left in
thought
a
so.
wheelchair, and he had a bloody nose, and people were like, "Oh, he's bleeding," and I was like, "Yeah, when you throw up violently, you burst blood vessels."
Well, 100%. I can, just from the look of it, I knew it was food poisoning
Yeah,
because I've had food poisoning like that. So like I just
I don't think I've ever had food poisoning. Not that I know of. If I did, I didn't know it was food poisoning.
really.
Yeah, no,
You've have you ever had those like violent throw ups where you're just like praying to God that he like the and you're just like apologizing for the things that you did when you were 5?
no,
Like
no, not violently throwing up. I've thrown up before, but not violently thrown up. I've had like diarrhea that I've had,
sure.
but I've never
Yeah.
violently thrown up. I don't recall. Not like that. Not like that picture from Tracy Morgan,
Yeah.
which is like
Oh, it's bad.
there's a difference between throwing up and violently throwing up, and there are
Yeah.
two distinctions. But yeah, I don't know, man. So I feel bad for him, but also like he ate. I'm sure he ate some lobster that he shouldn't have. Like it's he's fine. He's fine.
Probably, yeah.
He's
Yeah,
fine.
he's fine. It's not a
He's
big
fine.
deal. Um
What is a big deal is the fact that Amazon announced that they already greenlit season 2 of the God of War TV show.
so they greenlit
Um,
season 2 and they haven't even released it yet.
they haven't
That-
released season 1 yet,
yeah.
which is a good sign. I mean, that's a good sign.
Sure.
That to me shows that the studio has confidence in it, right? It has faith in it.
Yeah.
That is, I remember the first time they announced that they renewed season 2 of Game of Thrones before season 1 came out. And I
Oh
remember
wow.
reading that, and I remember reading that, going like, "Oh, then I gotta check out this show." Like, it immediately made me interested because as someone who doesn't read, because
Mhm.
books, yeah,
Right.
as someone who doesn't read, I didn't know anything about the Game of Thrones books, novels, and so when I heard that there was a TV show that HBO, first of all, you're talking about HBO is a known commodity. They know how to make great TV.
Mhm.
And when they said that we've already greenlit season 2 and season 1 hasn't been released, I'm like, I gotta check this show out. Like I
Yeah.
just I had that much faith. Now Amazon doesn't have the reputation of HBO, but they have some really good TV as well.
Sure.
They have
They're
Reacher, they have the Jack Ryan series.
the
They
boys.
have The Boys. They have really good TV, dude. They have
Mhm.
Invincible in the animated circuit. So they
Mhm.
have really excellent TV shows.
Yeah. I think the Amazon is a lot like Netflix in that their original movie department is just, they all need to be fired. Like their original movie department all needs to be fired, and they need to take a page from their original television department, because their
Trying to
original
remember
television
what is their original movies? What movies have they made that are
from
original movies?
Amazon.
Yeah.
So Amazon has made like, they make a lot of those like mid-tier level comedies. So like Ricky Stenicki, You're
Oh
Cordially
yeah.
Invited. Just a lot of these movies that are very like forgettable, you know?
Ricky Stinky. That movie was it had like a couple real good
Yeah, it
funny
had
scenes in
moments.
it, but you're completely right. It's what I would call just mid. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an awful movie, but it wasn't good either. And it was just
100%.
like it's almost as if the moment you finish watching it, you forget that you watched that movie.
Yeah,
You're like,
you
ah, it's
forget that the
just
movie existed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like a lot of Amazon's movies are like that. The only movies that are great,
Roadhouse,
eh, Roadhouse was
Roadhouse was
very
a
mid for me.
Roadhouse was a bad movie, but I loved it, and because it was a bad movie, it was like
Sure.
a bad movie in the best possible way.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, they made Roadhouse. They've made a lot of the like kind of like teen coming of age, rom-com kind of movies that I haven't personally seen, but they're usually those type of movies that are like, like Perks of Being a Wallflower, like, like I found her on a cabinet drawer, like, like movies that are like, that sound like weird sentences,
Yeah.
like just like I opened a guitar case and smelled you, like it just like, and that's a movie starring fucking you know Bo Burnham, and like um but yeah, they it's interesting
Was
because
Conclave an Amazon original movie?
no,
No.
no. So Amazon was or Conclave was a Universal movie.
Okay. Oh, that's why it was. Oh, okay. It
That's why it's
was
on
on
Peacock. Yeah.
Peacock, right? I was like, why is it on one of these free? It was for free. Like I didn't pay to see it. I'm like,
Mhm.
why? Why am I? This movie's amazing. Why am I not paying to see this movie?
So Amazon whenever they come out, whenever Amazon has a great movie, it's never an original movie. It's always a movie that was found at a festival and then Amazon put a bunch of money to distribute it.
Sure.
So Amazon's
I mean,
biggest claim to fame
in
is
all
the big stick.
fairness, Miramax did that for a while too.
Sure. Yeah. That's very
Reservoir
true.
Reservoir Dogs is not a Miramax movie, but it is a Miramax movie now. I mean,
Right.
that's so.
Yeah.
But
And nothing that Miramax ever did was wrong ever again.
those guys bat 1,000.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
You could ask all their victims. They know.
they know how to put out hits.
Yeah, they do.
Uh, so anyways, but what? And then you said the same thing about Netflix. I know you and I had a conversation. You were saying that Netflix original movies suck,
Bro,
and
it's not that they suck. It's that they like
mid level is a good way to put it. They're very mid.
they offend your intelligence as a viewer. Like you're just like you're
Jeez,
like
I like the
you
fact that you
watch
were
them and
like
you're like, am I this stupid?
you.
Like
I like the fact that you were like. Is that they suck? Is that we're all stupider for watching this movie now? Oh
yeah,
my
it's that
god,
why
that's
are they
you.
treating me like I'm an idiot? Like
Yeah.
it's just like yeah, and it's and we have this conversation on and offline. We'll have it right now, but usually we talk about this more offline. But bro, like it's Netflix is so much the company that is just like, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll just throw money at something. That'll make it a good movie. And it's like, bro, you can't just throw money at Chris Pratt and freaking Millie Bobby Brown and the Russo
Ooh,
brothers and think you're gonna make the Avengers. It's not
Chris
gonna happen.
Chris Pratt has a bad movie on Amazon Prime where he goes back in time or something.
Sure does. Yep. Edge of
That's
Tomorrow.
Edge.
Or
Is
no,
that what? No,
Tomorrow War. I'm sorry. Tomorrow
Tomorrow
War.
War. Wow,
Yeah.
that's not a good movie at all, man. Holy
Nope.
crap! Yeah,
Nope.
the moment you said Chris Pratt, I was like, oh, he does have I do remember an Amazon movie
Hmm.
now. Yeah, he did
Yep.
that one.
And you know
Uh,
what's funny? He has a series where he plays an assassin, and that series is great.
is it
So
on
that's what's
Amazon?
yes, it's
It's
an Amazon
hilarious.
series, and it's great. Like it's
Amazon series, unless you're like the big four, which is like Reacher, The
yeah,
Boys, those that we mentioned. Unless you're like the big four, like it's kind of like Apple TV. Like what?
yeah,
There's
very
there's
much
they have like 3 seasons of this show. Like yeah, what? What are they talking about? Like okay.
exactly.
And Peacock is another one. Peacock has that show with that what's it called? The Jackal, which is supposed to
Hmm.
be amazing, and you're like, what the fuck is the Jackal? And then you watch the trailer,
Yep,
you're like, this looks amazing. Why has nobody been talking about it? Oh, that's right, because it's on fucking Peacock. So
exactly.
that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
hundred. That's 100% what it is, and it's like yeah, and what's crazy is that like I don't know, man. I mean, if I'm gonna do a one gotta go right now, actually. Let's see. Let's do four. Netflix, HBO,
Oof.
um,
Hulu?
Hulu, yes, Hulu, and Apple TV.
Oh,
One gotta go.
I was hoping that you would have said like Peacock or something,
Peacock.
and I would
Oh,
have been
that
like,
would have
yeah, I
been
would have been like,
easy. That's why
yeah,
this
yeah.
is because you
One's
gotta
gotta
understand,
go.
yeah, Apple is at their stride right now because they have Severance, Ted Lasso just got renewed.
Yeah. Which
They
I don't
have
know
the
how I feel
dope
about that.
dealer.
I don't know how I feel about that. Cause
Oh,
Ted
that Ted
Lasso,
Lasso. Yeah, I know.
because it ended perfectly, man.
It did end
It
perfectly. I
ended
agree.
perfectly. It's such a like I'm so excited, cautiously excited, but also like, please don't fuck this up.
I know.
Please. Like
I know.
it ended perfectly. It was
Hmm.
just and it's I feel like as long as my hope is that Sudeikis is so good at like he knows, he's so conscious of it that
Mhm.
that's why he took all these years in between. Like he's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get it right. But
Right.
it ended perfectly after season 3. So but I'm down for more. Ted Lasso's great, man. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
that show's great.
No, I agree. And like the thing that one of the reasons why that show is so great is because it really brought positivity back into comedy. Like it
Yes,
made
yeah.
positive comedy a thing. And that's like, and of course like there's like negativity or whatever, but like it's hilarious that like this Mr. Rogers motherfucker is like with these people that are just like so bitter and
Yeah.
awful, and like and he's just awesome. Like I don't know, I love that character, and
Love
like
I love I love every character in that show. Like there's not a
yeah,
character I don't like.
I
Even the
agree.
bad,
Yeah,
even the like the the bad guys or the people you're not supposed to like. You don't like them, but
sure.
you don't. But they have their human sides, and it's like it's such a well written show, man. Oh
Yeah,
God.
agreed.
Oh.
Yeah, I could say the
Um.
same about Severance as
S-
well. I
I
like every
haven't seen.
character.
I love Severance. Oh no, I hate. There's a lot of characters I hate in Severance, but you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yes, but I
yeah,
love them as actors
but
because I hate
you
them.
I love the way they're written because if there's but yeah, no, I don't love every character in Severance.
Yeah,
Severance is speaking as somebody who who worked most of their life in an office. Oh, I hate,
sure.
like there's a lot of things that I hate about that show, but they're the things that you're supposed to hate about that show.
Of course.
Um um let's see. So Netflix, Hulu,
HBO,
HBO. Oh man.
HBO, Apple.
Apple. Jeez. It's so difficult. That's such a run. That's such a difficult. I'm sure you're getting rid of Netflix. I'm sure that's the one you're gonna get rid of.
No, actually, this is actually very difficult for me because Netflix, the biggest thing with Netflix for me is I love watching comedy specials.
Yeah,
I love watching comedy, and I
but
think that
Hulu now has comedy
now,
specials.
well, that's the thing is I was like, Hulu this year stepped into the chat, and they stepped into the chat with one special a month as opposed to one special a week, which is like excessive. And and
You know why it's you know what bothers me about that is that they
yeah,
give one special a week, and I've been doing this for 21 years, and I still don't have a special on Netflix. It's like there's 52 weeks a year. You're giving away
yeah,
52 specials.
they are.
I can't be one of 52.
Hmm.
Like Jesus, man.
But
Like
I think that's why Hulu's stand-up specials, and even because this is the thing, dude, and this is why it's going to be so hard for me to take out HBO too, because even HBO's comedy specials are so particularly an HBO comedy special, if
yeah,
that makes any sense. Like
sure,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
oh, like that's an HBO comic,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know, like
yeah.
this is a Hulu comic, and like now it's like other than the big hitters like the Dave Chappelle's and the Chris Rock, where it's like, well, yeah, of course you're going to get the biggest streaming platform that you possibly can because Netflix is just basically YouTube now. Like everybody, like what YouTube was, Netflix is, and what YouTube is what TV was. Like when we
Sure,
were
yeah.
growing up.
That's a good way to
You
put
know,
it. Yeah,
so like every it's kind of why like like comics like you and comics like me can make a special and put it out ourselves, and we can make our own money if it gets a huge if it goes viral and it gets over 1 million views. We get that money completely to us, and we don't have to give it to anybody. Then again, at the same time, with Netflix, they apparently they have weird deals with their stand-up specials where you basically like it's basically like a bank loan essentially, and like to whereas like Hulu and Amazon, a lot of bigger guys like Bill Burr and Nate Bargatze talked about this with Amazon, where he said after they own it for a year, and then after a year they give it back to you so you can do
yeah,
whatever you want with it. And that is so freeing as an artist because you're like, oh, like I could do whatever I could literally just put it on my YouTube for free. Like, and
Yeah.
nobody has to have a streaming service to watch it now,
Sure.
after a year. So, and with Netflix, they're like, no, like we own it. Like you can't do anything. Like it's like, it's a little weird. And then they can
I mean,
decide if they feel like,
it's not weird, but at the same time, it's the deal, right? Like you go into the
sure,
world's largest platform. It's like, yeah, we own it, but there are millions upon millions of eyeballs on this platform.
yeah,
So it's not weird. Like it's just a deal. Like you were
it's
right.
business. Yeah, it's
It's
business. Yeah,
business, and you get paid. It's like it's not like they get. It's not like they don't get paid. It's not like they're like, hey, give us your special, and we will, pay you an exposure. They're not. They pay them
right.
money. They pay them money on top of the exposure. But so yeah, it is what it is. It's business, man.
Speaking of paying an exposure, that was Comedy Central, which is not even in existence anymore,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
crazy to think about
yeah,
because like, when we were growing up, like that was the dream. And
yeah.
like,
I wanted my own
now
Comedy Central presents. Yeah,
like the Comedy Central Presents is like a Don't Tell comedy set,
yeah,
on YouTube, or like a dry bar comedy special, where it's like, oh, that's like my next step to where I can then go to a Netflix or go to a Hulu or whatever, because this thing got this many views and now I have this much, basically I can go to a Netflix and go, look, I have this much eyeballs that care about, what I'm doing here. Give me, can I do a small special or whatever, you know?
yeah.
Um I don't know, man. This one's really difficult for me. Um,
I'm not getting rid of HBO.
yeah,
I'm
me
not getting rid
neither.
of HBO. They have amazing movies. Warner Brothers has great movies. I mean, they have a lot of dog shit movies too, and
Hmm.
they're in financial trouble for it. But they have a lot of good movies. I'm not getting rid of HBO. I'm not. I'm leaning towards Hulu, but I really dig Hulu. But
Yeah, me too.
I'm leaning towards Hulu just because of the how strong the other ones are. Again, Apple TV.
You also have to take into consideration with this as well. With Hulu, you're basically getting a twofer because you're also getting Disney.
And you're also
So,
getting ESPN,
and you're,
which
yes, well, a
which
three for then. Yeah,
I know theater kids don't care about that, but
yeah.
some of us some
Hey
of
man, they
us,
had The Last Dance, and I cared about that.
yeah, of course. Um
All you need to get a theater kid is to call your basketball movie The Last Dance.
yeah. What? You're
There's
like
no dancing in this at all.
you're like
I watched 6 episodes.
you're 2 episodes in, and you're like, I don't think there's when does the dance come at the end? What happens
Yeah.
to the dance at the end?
Well, it is The Last Dance. Maybe they're
Is
saving it for the end.
is
Like,
Michael Jordan doing the cha cha? What's happening
yeah.
here? So I don't know. I'm leaning towards man, Hulu. You gotta, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to break it down to only because of what, yeah, just because of the sheer number of shows. Because you can't get rid of Hulu. Because you get rid of Hulu, you get rid of Disney. Even
Mhm.
just strictly Hulu. If we're just sticking to the Hulu platform,
There's
I
so
would.
much TV on Hulu.
There's so much TV on Hulu, and I watch a lot
Yeah.
of it. So you know what? I'm gonna say I'm gonna get rid of Apple, man. That's
Okay.
the one that's got to go, and it's a tough decision, but it's the one that has the quality of shows are great, but as far as what I'm watching, Severance is fantastic.
Mhm.
Ted Lasso is fantastic. Silo is great.
Mhm.
The Morning Show is fantastic. So, but I'm
I
gonna
don't
get rid.
think. I mean, what's crazy is that they've had more home runs than misses,
Sure.
and even when
Yeah,
they,
but they're home runs in empty ballparks because nobody's watching
exactly,
it.
you're
Nobody's watching
100%
it.
right. You're
So it's like,
100% right.
did you see that? That was a grand slam, and it's like nobody saw it.
Yeah, nobody's watching. This is the minor
Nobody's
leagues
watching. This is
comparatively.
what is
Yeah,
happening here. People
yeah.
can't believe that you're in season 6 of this show. Like this is crazy. Like what is
And
happening?
what's so funny is that it literally proves that trophies don't matter, because literally all of those shows have Emmys and like and nominations and all this stuff, and like unless you're in the industry you don't really know about this stuff, you know like
Yeah,
we're in the industry, and so like, and even like, you're not an actor, but like you're in the entertainment business, and so and not to mention like most of your job, like I would say that your job like the thing that probably sucks the most is how much you travel. You know what I mean? And so you traveling, you're like, I need TV. Like I need
Yeah.
something to do while I'm on this fucking plane for
Yeah.
so long. So like it makes sense that you're subscribed to all of the stuff. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah, like you're constantly traveling. Like yeah, of course, like it's fun to be a comedian and things like that, but like majority of your job is like is just travel, you
Is
know.
travel downtime is just a lot of downtime, but it's so funny. People are like, "Oh my god!" Like I love my I've said this to people before. They're like, "How is it working and performing and traveling and performing on cruise ships?" And I said, "Look, I love my job. This is I'm without exaggeration, literally living out my dream."
That's
But I
awesome.
but I was built for this before I even got this gig, and
Mhm.
by that I mean like I've met a lot of comics who get cabin fever, not just on cruise ships, but just traveling on the road,
Yeah.
and they fall into vices and they get depressed and they fall into depression because you're by yourself a lot, a lot.
Way more than you would feel comfortable. Yeah.
Way more than most people feel comfortable with. But that's what I say. That's why I say I'm built for this before I even got this gig,
Mhm.
because I could be by myself without a problem. Like I could, me like this is like you and I verbally, like my wife and I spoke today, um for like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes today. We had a 20-minute conversation. But if it
Mhm.
wasn't for that phone call, I wouldn't have spoken to anybody before you. Like
Right.
I don't feel sad about it. I could go weeks on end, but just as long as I have my tablet and my PlayStation and I'm keeping myself busy and entertained.
Sure.
But that to me is my level of is of keeping myself entertained. Is like as long as I have I could watch movies or read comics or like play video games. Like that's
Right.
I'm built for this lifestyle. A lot of people are not. A lot of people have
Exactly.
told me. I've had friends who have gotten gigs. Oh man, I want to work on cruise ships, and then they get it and they like, man, I can't do 2 weeks at a time. That's crazy. I'm like, what? Okay. And again, everybody's different, but
Mhm.
like I'm literally on my third week back to back to back on ships right now,
Yeah.
and I got two more coming ahead of me. So like, and again, I'm just built for this, man. Like that's just what I'm built for, because
Yeah.
of the fact that I've been that kid my entire life, where I could be by myself. I'm very much like my friend is like, oh, you're my friend Missy was like, oh, you're an extrovert. She laughs at me when I tell her that I'm an introvert because she's like, you're an
Oh,
extrovert, and then
yeah.
I'm like, okay, and I can see her point of view, and I am an extrovert. But I can also be an introvert, like, and it doesn't phase me. Like I don't have I could be an extrovert when I have to be or when I want to be, and I could be an introvert. Like it doesn't like I go to the movie theaters by myself all the time. Like whenever I go to a new
I've
city, I go to a movie theater by myself all the time, and like I don't blink an eye, man. I just like let's
so
watch the movie.
to piggyback off of what you're saying, like because I've never felt more seen as a human being because like I feel the same way in that like I a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're extroverted," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And what I always tell people is I'm extroverted because I get to control what it
Sure,
is
yeah,
that you're seeing me do.
sure,
Like I'm not like I decide when I'm performing.
sure,
Like I'm not going to perform because you told me to, dance.
yeah,
Like I'm doing this because I chose to and because I'm getting paid for it or whatever
yeah,
the reason, and it's about like it's about the control aspect of it, weirdly enough, not in a weird way, but like it is being able to control the attention and how that attention is given to you.
sure,
Because sometimes we're given attention that we don't want, in this
yeah,
world, in this life. And as a comedian and as an entertainer, you get to control that attention, and that's why that, to people like us, it is very um it's this job is something that you want to do because you're like, oh, I can control how people view me. Like this is great, as because then people will think that I'm a good time or whatever. And really I'm just a guy that watches YouTube videos and hangs out on his iPad and like, talks to his wife 15 minutes a day and then, whatever. Like I'm just a guy. But
yeah.
then
I have that when I perform. Like I did two shows last night, and they were both packed. Again,
mhm,
these are theater shows, and they're both
yeah.
both packed, and it went very well. And then people see me out. in like the buffet and I'm just by myself with my headphones on and I'm
Mhm.
watching a
You
podcast
were
or
I am
whatever,
just like you, dude.
and I'm just
I
like,
am
and I'm watching a
just like
podcast,
you.
and then people come up to me and they're like, "Eh," and they start like quoting my jokes back to me, which
Yes,
which I'm always grateful and polite. I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it, whatever, blah blah."
of
But that's it.
course.
But that's it. The conversation's over with, right? Now
Exactly.
now with that, I'm saying this in the same breath as there have been multiple times where somebody would talk to me like a normal person and not like a puppet. They'll be like, "Oh man, just,"
Sure.
and they'll start talking to me about like, this one guy 2 weeks ago started talking to me about he's lost weight, and then he's like, "Oh, how much weight have you lost?" And then so we started talking about our weight loss journeys and so on and
That's
so on.
cool.
And I sat down with him and his family for like 45 minutes. I just sat with him and
Mhm.
we just talked for like 45 minutes. We were just talking about he lives in Barbados and he's like, and it was like really cool.
So he treated
Um,
you like a dude. He didn't
but
treat
it,
you he
yeah,
didn't treat
yeah.
you like a performer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I was like, and again, so anybody seeing that would have been like, man, I talked to him and he just said hi, thank you, and bye. And you know what I mean? So, but I could go in and out of that. So that's why I don't get upset or offended when somebody goes, you're not an extrovert or you're an extrovert, because I am an extrovert.
Yes,
But I
yeah,
but I
same.
also have the possibility of I also have the like ability to be an introvert when I want to. And a lot of times that is most of my day. Most of my day
Yeah.
is like, it's so funny because I go to my kids scout meetings or like I'll go to my kids hockey games,
Yeah.
and a lot of times I'm like the quiet one and everybody else is
Sure.
making jokes or whatever. And I remember years ago, it's been years now, but years ago my wife was like, man, you're like super quiet at the, and I go, because I don't want to be that dad. I don't want
Yeah.
to be the dad who's, oh, he's the comedian. And like I don't like that. Like this is like it's my kid's scout meeting. So like I don't need it to be like, oh, there goes dad again. Like, as always performing is like, dude, I'm here for you. I'm here for my kid. I'm not here
Yeah.
to perform. And now I've made friends. Now it's been years. I've made friends where there's like two or three guys that I hang out with whenever I go to these scout meetings, and I'll hang out with these guys and we're laughing and we're having a good time. But I'm not that guy that's like making jokes at that, like, like that's, we're gonna do this. That's what she said. Like I'm not that
Right,
dad. Like
right.
I'm not that. But there are those dads. There are those dads, and I
Yeah.
think people expect me to be that in every setting, and I'm like, I'm not. I'm not. That's not. This is not my
Yeah,
setting.
for
This is
us,
not
but
my.
because for us that's hacky. Like
Well, it's not even. I. You know what? To me, I got it. If I'm thinking about it now that I'm thinking about it, it's not that I don't think it's that it's hacky for me. I think that I have already enough stage time. I get enough of an outlet.
that's
I
good. That's
have.
a good way of putting it.
I have enough of an outlet. I have enough opportunity to release that creative, that energy that because when I was a kid, I used to be a class clown. When I was a kid,
Mhm.
that was me. When I was a kid, I had so much energy pent up, and I had so much that I had to say these jokes, and I couldn't control my mouth. I couldn't, like, my ADHD would not allow me to, you know what I mean, to like
Yeah.
let a joke slip by. So if there was a that's what she said, I'm gonna say that's what she said in
Sure.
school or even in my day jobs when I had day jobs, because I didn't have a place to, I didn't have an outlet. Now that I've had 20 plus years of outlets, I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need to be that person in every situation anymore.
Well, and not only that, and like I've had this conversation with so many comedians where like when we grew up before we were comedians and we started writing our own jokes, like we thought like the funniest guy at our school was just the guy that quoted Ace Ventura.
Sure.
Like you know what I mean? Like a guy quoting a movie that another guy made funny. You
Yeah.
know, like like
I There was one, can I just tell you one of the very first times I remember thinking of a joke, like I said it out loud in class, and
mm,
it's totally not even PC anymore.
sure.
But they were talking that we were in high school. This, I want to say, my either my junior or my senior year, and they were talking about registered sex offenders.
Oh my gosh.
Now this is a topic that was brought up by the teachers. Like they were teaching us about like sex offenders, and they said register sex offenders, and I immediately go, oh, I got to register now too. Oh,
That's freaking funny, dude.
and it got such a laugh. And the teacher who was not a fan of mine, she just didn't like the fact she did. In all fairness to her, I disrupted her class quite a bit.
Sure.
But so she was not a fan of mine, but the way she laughed, like she was like trying to control herself and trying to like hide how much she's laughing. And that was one of the very first times that I was like, oh, there's
Dude, that's
something
still
here.
funny.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
a good
bit.
joke.
It's a
That's a
good
good
joke.
joke.
And it was very conversational. Like, oh, register sex offenders. I go, oh, we got to register now too. Ugh. And it hit like gangbusters. And I remember that wasn't my first time ever making a joke on stage, but that was my very first time that I actively knew this is funny. I'm gonna say this because this is funny, as
Yeah.
opposed to just my mouth opens and then stuff comes out. And it
Yeah.
like there was a lot of, and then a lot of times when I was younger in my middle school, there was a lot of physical because I was a big kid, I was a fat kid,
Sure.
so there was
Yeah.
a lot of physical shimmies and a lot of physical act outs and a lot of that, and that to me, as much as I enjoyed that, and I still got laughs, so I still enjoyed the laughs, but
Mhm.
when I said something verbally that got that same laugh that I didn't have to shimmy and I didn't have to do this and that, and I'm like, oh, that okay, there's something there. That's cool. That's a cool
Yeah.
feeling. That's a
Well,
cool feeling.
what's so funny is that I was actually the opposite at my school where like none of the kids thought I was funny, but my teachers thought I was fucking hilarious. And so like
Were you the type were you the was your humor the type that teachers that liked because you would just say some slick shit under your breath, like, well, that's fucking
100%.
good. Yeah,
A
yeah,
hundred
yeah, yeah,
percent.
yeah.
Because and
I was the opposite. I was the kid that was like, look at me,
yeah,
I'm funny,
yeah.
and then it would get laughs, but teachers would be like, all right, dude, enough, dude, take it, bring it down a notch, like just bring it
I
down.
always say there's a difference between a class clown and a class comedian.
Sure,
I was the class comedian as opposed to the
sure.
class clown. The class clown,
I lived in that fence, man. I lived in that
yeah.
fence. I lived in that fence where I was like, and that's very much sums up the very beginning of my stand up career too. Because for
Mhm.
the first 2 years, all my bits, all my punchlines were act outs. Like
Sure.
so much so that in my notebook I would write in brackets. I would put act
Mhm.
out, act. That would be the punchline, and I was like, oh, and then like almost 2 years in, like a year and 8 months in, I remember challenging myself, like, all right, we're not gonna move. We're gonna stay still on stage, and let's see, can we get a laugh by just using our words? And
Yeah.
since then, that's where my style is now.
Mhm.
But in high school, in school, there was a lot of like just
Sure.
a lot of that shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's I mean, ultimately, you know, the best is, you know, when you can get a hybrid of the two, that's the best. But like, you know, I always say that like, you know, the class com or the class clown is somebody who goes streaking on the football field during
Sure,
homecoming, but the class comedian tells the class clown that it would be funny if he did that.
that was
You know
good.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
all the teachers are laughing because I told the teachers, "Oh, I told freaking Gonzalez to go do
yeah,
that."
yeah. Those guys.
And they're like, "You're hilarious." Like, and it's like,
uh,
yeah, like that was the kind of person that I was. Like, and not only that, like I also like to be fair, the reason why teachers were upset with me was because all I cared about was being funny. And so much so that I would be funny using the source material of what the teachers were talking about,
sure.
if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
like
Yeah.
so for example, like I was just thinking about this recent or yesterday where I was like, this I don't know if kids have this anymore. And did you when you went to high school, did you have like like separate history classes? Like did you have like this semester I'm doing Civil War, this semester I'm doing World War II, you know, type of stuff like that?
No, it was seventh grade was civics.
Mhm.
That's when you learn civics and all about like how a law gets passed. And then eighth grade, I forgot what eighth grade was, but it was usually like world history. And then
Mhm.
ninth grade was U.S. history.
Mhm.
10th grade, so it was split up that way, like world history, U.S. history, civics. It wasn't split up specifically with we're talking about this age or this,
So in 11th grade, in 11th
economics. I took an economics class. That was another one. World
in,
economics.
in 11th grade we were allowed to choose what kind of history class we could
Okay.
pick, and we could do Civil War, the Renaissance, and the Holocaust was
Sure.
one as well. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, is it like appropriate to have a whole class about the Holocaust? Like
Man,
it's like
we had a lot. Like we had a lot because I told you this story before about Schindler's List. Schindler's List came
Mhm.
out when I was in ninth grade.
Mhm.
Towards the end of my ninth grade year, 10th grade year, and we no eighth grade year, and we watched it from eighth to like 10th grade. Every teacher would put that movie on,
Oh, bro,
and it was
it's
just. And I remember
a
thinking to
rough
myself, like,
watch.
yeah, it was a rough watch, but it's a rougher watch now as an adult. Because when I was a
Of
kid, because I
course.
remember as a
Yeah.
kid watching it and being like, oh man, that's sad. And then you watch it now. I watched it like 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
These people are going through a lot. Like these people are
Mhm.
going through like it's yeah.
Dude,
Um,
not to be bleak, but like we in 12th grade, I so history was one of my fortes. History and
same,
English were
same.
my fortes because it was writing, and I was just very good at creative writing.
That
Like
same
that's
thing,
literally
same,
what it was. And
same.
so like we went on a trip in my senior year to New York, and we went to the Holocaust Museum, and it was very powerful because they had all of the shoes. Have you been to the
I
Holocaust
I've
Museum?
not been, but I've seen that on TV. I've seen documentaries of the shoes.
Dude,
It's
it is fucking insane because
brutal.
like
Yeah,
I mean, the more the and it would only be worse for me as an adult, and even worse if I was a dad.
yeah,
Do you
yeah, yeah.
understand?
That's
Because like
exactly 6 months ago. I watched Schindler's List, and I was like, this is like it was just
the
so
moment
difficult.
kids are involved, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah,
Like like this sucks.
yeah,
Like it's just yeah. I mean, it's awful no matter what, but it's just like when a kid is involved in any kind of warfare, it's just like
yeah.
this is
That
absolutely ridiculous.
I remember I remember when I was in like ninth or 10th grade and I saw the scene with the little girl in the red
Yeah.
jacket. And I remember thinking to myself because I always try to like be that pompous guy, like, oh, look at me, I love films and I know about
Mhm.
films. And I remember thinking, and I remember saying out loud, like, oh, that shows the symbolism is the death of innocence, is what
Right.
I would say. But I never really stopped to think what that actually means.
Yeah.
So watching it
I was
6 months
actually gonna
ago,
say that's a super poignant thing to say.
but again, but it's a poignant thing to say, but I didn't quite understand. I wasn't taking into effect what it actually meant. Like it's
Yeah.
one thing to understand the director's trying to say that's the death of innocence, and it's another thing to comprehend what the death of innocence means.
Mhm.
And you go, oh, so 6 months ago I'm watching this, and again the scene comes up with the girl in the little red sweater or whatever, and it's popping out obviously for
Mhm.
obvious reasons. It's a black and white film, and I'm just like, oh, that's so like, and I'm like now I'm in tears. Like now I'm
Yeah.
just like
Of
bawling, going like,
course.
she was so innocent. Like there's
Of
a big
course.
difference between understanding what the director was trying to say and understanding what they meant. Like
Yeah.
it's a different. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
100%. Yeah, and like it's yeah,
But so you
it's
picked that. That's what you picked. Like out of all the history classes, you picked the
so you had to take at least 3, and the ones that I chose were Civil War, which was a horrible mistake. I could not have been less interested in American
really.
politics.
It's so
I just
funny
did.
because the U.S. Civil War is the war that's studied upon the most
Oh, I
in
know.
America. Like it's
Yeah,
like everybody loves this. Like, everybody loves learning about the Civil. I don't want to say everybody loves the Civil War. Everybody loves learning about the Civil War.
learning about the Civil War.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of learning about the Civil War. The Revolutionary War is another one that I was
I was
uh
I was a big fan of learning about the Holocaust, and I'm specific on the learning. And and I was a big fan of learning about the Renaissance as well, because theater kid.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
that's
My
Shakespeare. It's all the
favorite
shit. So
my favorite history is U.S. history for obvious reasons,
Mhm.
but within U.S. history, I would go Revolutionary War is my favorite to learn about, and then
Revolutionary
go
War is awesome to learn about
yeah
for sure.
yeah yeah yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I was just thinking about this yesterday, by the way, and I was I wanted to tell you because it actually has to do with what we were talking about with like the whole Ed Sheeran thing and everything. Um, do you by any chance know the band Franz Ferdinand?
of course, no,
So
no,
yeah,
no, I
you
don't.
don't
No,
really.
no,
Oh
no,
my gosh. Well, their first like album came out when I was a senior in high school, and I had a World War I class, and it was hilarious because the CD had come out, and me and my buddy, my best friend Gray Robinson, we always talked about music, and we were talking for weeks about Franz Ferdinand, and it just so happened that every time we went into this class, we were always talking about Franz Ferdinand, and our teacher, I found this out later, our teacher thought that we were so interested in in World War I studies that we were talking about Archduke Franz
That's
Ferdinand,
hilarious. That's hilarious.
and we could not get over it.
Like these kids really love the
Like
beginning of World
she,
War One. This is the
I
real.
literally, I literally remember, I literally remember it was like maybe like the third time we were talking about Franz Ferdinand, and she's like, "You're still talking about this?" And it was like, it's so crazy, like we just couldn't stop talking.
So funny.
And she
Did
she never realized it was a band.
did you ever watch? Did you ever watch the Kingsman movie?
Yes, I did.
The
Yeah.
one where they tell the origin story.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That like it's so history, because again you and I are like, history was
Yeah.
one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah.
Like when
So
I was
good.
watching that movie, I was like, yes,
Mhm.
yes, that is a thing. And then
Yeah.
the way they weaved their fiction into nonfiction, I was like, this is amazing. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how
it's
you do historical fiction. It's
yeah,
the best.
that's great.
Either do that or make Lincoln a vampire hunter. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm still not convinced that he wasn't actually a vampire hunter in real
Yeah,
life.
I agree.
That's how.
I agree.
Did you ever see him? Did you ever see him with a vampire? No, because he was
No,
that good of a fucking
because he
hunter.
was that good. Exactly.
Yeah, I that movie is so underrated, dude. I love that movie so much. That movie is so
Yeah,
underrated.
that is one of those so bad it's good movies for
I
sure.
don't think it's bad at all. I think that movie is legitimately
Really?
good. I really think that movie is good. I mean, don't
Fair
get me
enough.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think it's silly. Like
It is very silly.
it's a silly premise. I get it, but the way it was done as if it took itself serious. It's like, that's the way it should. Yeah, that's
I actually like dude that played Lincoln in it,
yes.
to
I
be
don't even remember who
honest.
he was, but he was
Me
great. The
neither.
whole movie was
Me
fantastic. The whole
neither.
movie was great. It was
Which
great,
is
man.
funny because like people talk about like Daniel Day-Lewis being so good, but it was like I thought the guy that I
Yeah,
mean I don't even know his name, which is
goes
so
to show
funny,
you.
but like
But you know why? Because to us he was Lincoln.
yeah,
There
fair
was no
enough.
actor. There was no actor. That's how good of an actor he was. That there was no.
Yeah,
To
I still
me,
think he's Abraham Lincoln. Yeah,
I still think it's Abraham Lincoln. To me, when everybody was talking about Daniel Day Lewis's portrayal of Lincoln, I was like, yeah, but he didn't kill a single vampire, so
exactly. Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
agree.
fantastic. Oh, we have a couple more. We have a couple more.
One gotta go.
One gotta go. So this is hip hop. I don't know if you're a big hip hop fan.
Big hip hop fan. Are you kidding me?
So
That
there's a
was one thing that I was gonna say is that one thing that a lot of people are very surprised at when they look at me is how much I love hip hop.
all right.
Because they're like, wow, like people like there was a dude that came up to me and he's like, how do you know this much about Outkast? And I was
That's
like,
funny.
no, I freaking love Outkast. They're one of my favorite groups. Like, like he was like surprised. It was hilarious.
All right.
Okay,
So we
so
got
the
there.
Crossroads, Still Dre, Players Ball, If I Ruled the World. Damn. This is 90s hip hop,
Yeah, this is 90s
which
hip
is
hop. This
which is good. Like don't get me wrong. My pocket is
the odds.
early aughts to
Yeah, yeah.
now, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Well, this is my wheelhouse. Is this right here?
So not to get all music theory about you or about this, but you can't take out Still Dre because without Still Dre, you wouldn't have 90% of hip hop songs because they're all ripping off that beat. So
Sure,
so we have to have Still Dre.
of course.
Literally Fetty Wap wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Still Dre.
That's funny.
So bro, I love The Crossroads as well. Such a great song.
Such a great song. You know what? You know what made that song even better? Key and
What?
Peele.
Yes.
Maybe we should change our. Yeah, it's so great. It's a whole thing.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I'm not gonna. I started singing it. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it justice. Just go watch the Key and Peele
Who does If I
Crossroads.
Ruled the World again?
Nas. If I
Nas.
ruled the
Yeah.
world, if I ruled, if I
Is
ruled.
that isn't on Illmatic, is it?
No, that's on Stillmatic.
That is on Stillmatic. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Illmatic is my favorite Nas album for sure. But yeah, If I Ruled the World was the hit off of that last record. And then Players Ball. That's such a man, this is hard. Where are you leaning? I might
Oh,
just go off of
I don't even lean. I know exactly where I'm going off players ball. I'm gonna if one of these has to go, players ball to me. This is
yeah,
a pure nostalgia thing. It's to me the decision was how which one did I listen to the least, and it would be
sure.
players ball because the other ones
So
Crossroads, still Dre. If I Rule the World, this is like all in the same, maybe even the same year.
yeah, it
This is
is.
me. This is me walking around with my Discman in school with my studio headphones in, like that was just me. Yeah,
Still Dre was 96, 97.
maybe
Am I
98,
Oh,
maybe
98?
98.
Okay.
I graduated in 99, so it was probably right around there.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I would probably go Players Ball as well. I think the only reason why is because I can't take Nos out of something. I mean, the guy literally won a Pulitzer for lyric writing. So like I can't say that his songs are bad. You know
No,
what I
it's
mean?
that song was my introduction. That song specifically was my introduction to Nas. So
Mhm.
I love hip hop and I loved hip hop then, but it was like I was very much confined to whatever was on the radio. So whatever played on the
Sure.
radio. So when I Ruled the Road came out and Power 96 would not stop playing it,
Mhm.
thankfully, I found Nas and then I bought the Stillmatic CD, the Stillmatic album, and I listened to the Stillmatic album on repeat dozens of times before I even knew that there was an Illmatic. And I was
Really?
like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, there's
Did
like a
Illmatic blow your mind? Cuz it blew
yeah.
my mind.
It blew Illmatic
Like
blew my mind, but it was yeah, it was great, man. It was
cuz you got New York State of Mind, you got Life's a Bitch, you got all
yeah,
these great songs, man. Like I mean, and he was a kid when he made those songs.
yeah.
Insane.
So players ball to me is the one that's it's a very easy
Yeah,
under
fair
like to
enough.
me.
I'd go with that too.
All right, and then the last one that we're gonna do is one's gotta go, and
Okay.
it's filmographies. And now in filmographies, I include everything, including TV, everything.
Okay.
So it's either Jim Carrey. The first choice is Jim Carrey filmography, Ben Stiller filmography, Steve Carell filmography, or Seth Rogen filmography.
Okay.
So this to me
I
is one of the tougher ones.
It is extremely tough. I know where I'm leaning, but I want to talk about it
Sure.
because all of these actors um have exactly um the right thing going on in that at their peak they were in comedies. They are incredible dramatic actors as well when they're honed in. And there's
I don't see Seth Rogen as a dramatic actor, but okay. I mean,
he wasn't he nominated for what's it called, the Fablemans, because he cheated on he
oh, I don't know if he was
some
nominated, but he was in that movie. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah,
was he was the guy that fucked Steven Spielberg's mom.
yeah, 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 yeah. That was being
R-
directed by Steven Spielberg
yeah.
to fuck Steven Spielberg's mom while he was best friends with Steven Spielberg's dad.
Yeah,
Um,
I forget if it was, no, he was nominated for Take This Waltz. That's what it was.
okay.
Take This Waltz. It was, I mean, it was such an Oscar movie. Oh my god, it's him and the girl from Dawson's Creek, and she will never not be the girl from Dawson's Creek to
Michelle,
me.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
also that's also Steven Spielberg's mom.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Steven Spielberg's mom. And that movie's
That's
and that
Seth
movie's
Rogen
about them
fucked.
being
Yeah,
married. Yeah, that
yeah.
movie's about them being married and not wanting to fuck anymore, which is hilarious. The movie that gets him nominated again is where he wants to fuck her to ruin somebody else's marriage.
That's hilarious.
But Yeah. Yeah, Seth Rogen again when he's honed in, he can do it. Obviously he's never going to be as incredible as Jim Carrey or Steve Carell. Um
See,
I think when it
Jim
comes to
Carrey.
drama at least.
First of all, Jim Carrey, what he did in 1994 would
Best year of all time for yeah.
cement him to never be able to leave a list. Like you pick him
Mhm.
over anybody at this point.
Yeah.
And Steve Carell, where I'm not the biggest fan of his movies. If
Really?
you,
Okay.
I'm not saying that I don't like him.
Sure.
I'm just saying in comparison to a Jim Carrey, for example, and his
Yeah.
movies, in comparison to Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller made Tropic Thunder.
Mhm.
Like, let's be real, he's not going anywhere. And
Yeah.
then,
Well, the thing about Ben though is that the reason why I love Ben is because of what Ben creates himself.
sure.
So like Tropic Thunder, Severance, even the this really small movie he made with Greta Gerwig called Greenberg. You know, I love movies like that, and like really, I think the only movie that I've really liked him in where he was like a hired gun was maybe Meet the Parents. Um,
Happy Gilmore.
yeah, but he's a cameo in that. I don't really see him as like
Hey,
he's
how,
he's
how about a
also
warm? How about a warm glass of shut the hell up?
yeah.
You will go
you
to
know
sleep, or I will put you to sleep.
you
Oh,
know you know what's great about him as well is that man, that's tough too, because I was just gonna say bro fucking killed it in Heavyweights. Have you seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie. When I was a
Dude,
kid,
oh,
I was a fat kid, and the last thing I wanted to do was watch fat kids in camp.
oh, I was
Yeah,
the opposite. I
I,
was like, oh, I want all the kids that are like me and I want to
no,
see
no,
them all having fun.
I just didn't want to see them go through a fat camp.
Oh, you didn't want to see them going through hell.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah.
go see them going through hell. Like one of my favorite characters in the movie Hook was the fat kid. They rolled him up into a bowling ball,
Oh,
and
the
he's like the
best.
hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the great. I was like, this is representation. I swear to God, I was feeling this without knowing the word representation. But whenever I would see a fat kid on screen, which was very,
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
few and far between, I would
Mhm.
get pumped up. But I did not want to see a whole movie where I just thought the fat kids were going to be the butt of the jokes. I don't know this for a
Rarely
fact because I did not see the movie, but just from the movie poster where they're all holding a huge hoagie sub, and I was just
yeah.
like, I'm like, nah, dude, the whole movie's gonna be punch fat jokes, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
To be completely fair, like you're absolutely right in the sense of um it was very rare that because you're absolutely right because there always has been representation of fat people, but there hasn't been positive representation of fat
Yeah,
people. And
yeah,
Hook
it's
was a positive representation
correct.
of a
Yeah,
fat kid
and he's the
because
one
he
that
was
ended
the
up
fucking hero.
he was a hero, and he's the one that ended up taking Peter's place when Peter left. So he was
Exactly.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, and like and granted there's been many other movies, like Tommy Boy and like movies like that as well, where sure there's a couple of things where there's a couple of moments where Chris Farley's the butt of the joke, but it's hardly ever for his weight. Only the "I can hear you getting fatter"
yeah,
line
yeah,
is the only line really about his weight. Everything else is just about how dumb he is as a
yeah.
character. Like
Did I
hardly
hear?
anything has to do with his body.
Did I hear a
So
niner in there?
yeah, that's Herbie Hancock.
Yeah,
But I love Tommy Boy, dude.
it's great,
What a great
fantastic.
movie. But yeah, man, this one's really tough. Because that's the other thing too is that Seth Rogen is so good at creating his own brand as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like
40-year-old
he
virgin is
yeah.
just grand slam out of the park, dude.
I mean,
40-year-old virgin is great.
a lot of well, I was just gonna say that let's just say every single one of these actors has at least one movie that cannot be made today because it's not
Uh
PC.
I think Tropic Thunder can still be made. I'm a firm believer that Tropic
Oh,
Thunder
I
can still
wasn't
be
talking about
made.
Tropic Thunder.
What
I was talking
what
about Heavyweights.
oh did you ever hear did you ever see that theory, that fan theory that it's the same dude from Heavyweights
Yeah,
into
in dodgeball.
in
Yeah.
dodgeball, and then dodgeball, and then he went from dodgeball
Hmm.
to Happy Gilmore.
I mean, it makes the most sense because he quite literally, like he looks like Tony Perkis. It's the gym that he works at or whatever is the same colors
Yeah.
as the
And
Perkis
there's like
Power
it's a very
thing or
logo.
whatever.
It's like a logo. The logo is similar or whatever. I saw this
Yeah,
thing.
it's
I saw this thing on Instagram, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
it's
that's
it's
interesting.
extremely. I love that. But again, like all the
So
best Ben Stiller stuff.
which Steve Carell movie could not be made today?
Um, so I'm trying to think. Maybe he doesn't have one, but
Yeah,
I don't
he's a
know.
pretty safe. Steve Carell's pretty safe in the movie category.
He's pretty safe in the movie category because
Michael
the
Scott,
movies that
on the
he's
other hand, ooh,
yeah, that's what I was. If anything, I was actually gonna say that it would be tough to do The Office
well,
today.
they're gonna do it.
Um, yeah, then that's a horrible idea.
Eh,
Unless they're doing it with the same people. You know what I
Oscar's gonna
mean?
be in there. Oscar's the one. As far as yeah, but it's not a paper company. It's a different company, so
Okay,
it's not the same exact thing. It's not a remake. It's like kind of
that's
like
funny.
kind of a sequel ish. So Oscar will play Oscar in that again. So
Funny enough, that
um
reminds me of that scene from The Office where where Michael Scott is at the college class and he's like, "Paper will always and forever be the number one thing that you ever write on," and you just see kids writing it on their laptop.
that's so funny. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Um,
That's such a great episode.
yeah, it's perfect,
It's like
and
maybe
that's why you
that's nothing
can't.
to snicker at.
Yeah,
And maybe if you could, say you could get 100 grand and you just start throwing
yeah,
candy out there. It's so funny.
bro, and not to mention like the end, and this is why I love The Office because it it comes to an end where it goes to Pam, nobody showed up, and Michael Scott shows up to her thing, and you're fucking crying
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he showed up to her thing, and then she hugs him, and he's like, "What is in your pants?" He goes, "Chunky," and he takes out the candy bar. That's so fucking good.
So good.
Like,
So
it's
good.
so good.
So
Like it.
who's all right?
Yeah.
We got to answer the question now. We got to get to the answer.
I
What's your
okay.
choice?
I think I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna go Seth Rogen.
Okay.
And the
I
only reason why is because Steve Carell makes me laugh too hard. Ben Stiller makes too many great things. And I cannot
Yeah,
say that
Jim Carrey's untouchable, man. Jim
Jim
Carrey's the
Carrey's
untouchable.
untouchable in this
Yeah.
category.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I'm all right with that. I'm all right with the I don't mind picking either Steve Carell or Seth Rogen. I could make an argument for either one of them. Steve Carell, if we're gonna go by the strict definition of filmography, I could get rid of Steve's movies in a heartbeat. That's fine.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
fine.
once you said entire
Entire
catalog,
yeah,
that's
catalog.
when I probably would have done the same
Yeah.
because his other than Dinner for Schmucks, I haven't really like laughed out loud at any of his movies.
I
Um,
did not find Dinner for Schmucks funny, but I did really enjoy the movie where him and Emma where his Emma what's her name?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone is his daughter.
Oh, Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love.
That movie's great.
I love that movie.
That movie's
That's a
great.
movie. Yeah, yeah. So, all
Ryan
right.
Gosling's super charming in it.
Yeah, he's Ryan Gosling. He's
Yeah, he's
super
Ryan Gosling.
he's he's super charming and everything. Yeah,
That's true.
that's kind of what he does.
Yeah,
All right, hold on. Let me go back to that thing
accurate.
here. All right. Anyways, all right. So that's our episode. Thank you guys for checking us out. Make
Hell
sure
yeah.
again, if you're listening to the audio version, make sure you check out the video. You could find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Check that out. It's WuBro Pod is everything. It's WuBropod. I am Neri Science. Check out my website, neryscience.com or whatwashisname.com. If you can't remember the website, it's whatwashisname.com, and you could check out. I have a show at the Miami Improv. If you're gonna be in South Florida, I don't care if you're West Palm Beach, make the fucking drive.
Yeah.
May 7th. Check out the Miami Improv show. It's me, Luis Diaz. It's me, Neri and Lewis, unscripted. So check that show out. And then Mike, what do you got? Plug away,
Um,
man.
so you can go to my website. You could find me on my Instagram and on my TikTok, and also any upcoming shows, as well as I have merch as well that you can get on my website, thekidfromup.com. That is my website until Disney sues me. And other than that,
I don't think they can sue you for that, but
they can't, because
yeah,
if they send me a cease and desist, I will say, please look at my face.
yeah.
And so yeah,
You
um,
stole from me. You
yeah, you
stole it
stole
from
from
me.
me. Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, so yeah, I have some stand-up shows coming up as well, that I can't remember off the top of my head. Always working with Don't Tell Comedy, and I'm doing some improv stuff as well over at Barclay Performing Arts. And also a couple of things that I can't talk about that I'll probably tell you after this, Neri, but yeah, that are coming up hopefully in early summer that I can
All
start
right.
talking
All right.
about.
Follow him on social media, man. It's great. It's a great follow. And thank you very much for checking us out. And that's how winning is done.
What's up, bro?